Hello ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. My name is PsychoGold and today we're going to be checking out the latest episode of Death Battle, though I do know I've got a couple to catch up on. I won't be doing All Might versus the other guy, because I haven't actually watched Naruto all the way through, even though it is something I'm very slowly working my way through in my own time. So I don't want any potential spoilers that I'll get. Now, the episode in question features Power Rangers, and yes, before I get a load of comments like I did on the Dragonzord video, I am a fan of Power Rangers. And I'm a pretty big fan of the person in question that they're actually showing in this particular death battle. And that would be Jason Lee Scott, the original Red Ranger and second Gold Ranger, played by actor Austin St. John, who I assure you I have absolutely no bias to whatsoever in this episode. But that said, I am actually a big fan of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles as well. Funnily enough, we were actually talking about watching the original 90s films the other night, me and my partner, so yeah. I've been curious to see what this death battle was going to be like, partly in due to the fact that if you don't know, the Power Rangers and the Turtles have actually crossed over more than once. They are currently crossing over in the world of comic books right now with an ongoing storyline that appears to be going in unexpected places, but they also crossed over back in the 90s in Power Rangers in Space. Now, I've already got through the discussion of the two various characters, and funnily enough, they actually referenced In Space, but they didn't actually reference the fact that they crossed over with the worst Ninja Turtles show ever made, which is The Next Mutation. I felt for sure that they were going to mention that just so that they could rip it apart, but they didn't. Either way, I am not sure who's going to win this one. The rules of Death Battle dictate that Power Rangers shall always lose every fight that they're in, even when it's not a real death battle and it's just a DBX. But I would like Power Rangers to win for a change, especially since it is Jason, and as they said in their discussion, he is a very capable and powerful fighter. However, the discussion portion for Leonardo suggests that they may have already decided that Leonardo was going to win this fight before they even got going, because the list of things that Leo could do that they're include all of his mystical abilities, and being able to dodge lightning means that he's 300 times faster than the speed of sound, yet in the same breath in the Jason portion said that he can also dodge lightning, but they didn't say that that made him as fast as Leo, so it felt very much like they were heavily hinting and weighing it in Leo's favor, but at the same time, I still can't get past the idea of they're just turtles. They have no protection against weaponry. In, the various series and shows, they get injured quite a lot, especially in my favorite show, which is the 03 version, and Leo especially spends, I'd say, a third of that show constantly either in recovery or, being beaten up because he tries to take on more than he can actually manage. And it's that struggle and that realism that made me really like both his character and that particular show. And I'd say that's true for a lot of the other shows, whereas once the Rangers morph, they're pretty much indestructible, which they even point out the morphing grid protects them. I don't think Leo's got anything that can break through the grid. Yes, it's true that they can be powered down if they're attacked enough, however, that is something that used to happen in the 90s show. It wasn't something that happened because they sustained too much damage, which is what it ended up becoming, nor is that what happens in the current comic books, which they also seem to be taking inspiration from. It used to only really happen in the original series when something had happened that would disrupt their connection to the grid, i.e. the Megazords were taken away from them, Rita was using magic, or Zordon was taken out of the picture. In fact, the only example that they actually showed, and what most people show whenever they try and reference that, is the Green with Evil storyline, where they were up against another Ranger. And other than that, they don't really demorph in the original show, unless they choose to. The idea that their powers would just fail and break down is something that kind of came in later, as far as I remember. But, if they didn't have that as a way for Leonardo to break down Jason's powers, this would be a pointless fight because he'd never be able to win. So, I get why they've done that. Either way, we're going to see what happens next. Annoyingly, despite the fact that there are 3D models available out there for both of the characters, it looks like this is using the old 16-bit sprites from Turtles in Time and the SNES Mighty Morphin Power Ranger game, and yeah, those sprites for the Power Ranger game, they're not pretty, so I don't really know what they're gonna do with this, but we're gonna find out. Right. Obey the foot. Never. Oh, I like the sort of semi-3D... Oh, okay. Oh, it's one of these animations where it's half hand-drawn, half sprited. Okay. Not the pizza! Oh, he shouldn't have done that.
Dude! Sorry, I'm late for... one of Frida's monsters! Who? Break! You're the monster for ruining my pizza! Time to take out the trash! It's morphin' time! Don't count me out yet!
Okay, whoever's doing the voice for Jason, and Leo to be fair, but definitely the voice of Jason, that's actually a pretty good version of him. It's a lot better than the voice they used when the actor left and they needed to dub a few episodes.
Turtle power! Power sword! Don't blame me for not being impressed! Really, dude?
I'm loving the music too. It's a nice, definitely Turtles inspired, but it's a good mix. I'm seeing a lot of stuff from Battle of the Grid for Jason.
Huh?
Whoa! Speaking of Battle for the Grid, never thought I'd see that in 2D.
Cheap shot! Rin
Ah. Oh look, Mystic Powers.
What are you doing down there?
He's not down there.
Sorry, Tights. I'm all healed up. Behold the immortal turtle! That's bogus!
Yeah, so he's using his healing powers from 2012 and that silly new blade from the current show, Rise of the TMNT. Oh! Okay! His shell can just deflect laser blasts, I guess. He teleported. Whoa, this is way more hype than it has any right to be, man! Oh, he's taking a lot of hits, though. He broke the sword! Oh my lord, that was...
bonkers.
Yeah, it was. Wait. Oh no! KO!
Looks like Leo totally didn't see that coming.
Are you guys for using that one, or should I
What?
expect something new?
Stop! Well, I tried to pause there, it just won't stop. That was... Okay. First of all, that was way better than it had any right to be, especially when I saw it was 2D. I might have to watch that animation again, man. And second of all, holy hell! They actually let a Power Ranger win one of these fights. Like, from the second I heard this fight, I was convinced that they were gonna obviously have the Ranger lose again, but more importantly, I was like, how are they gonna explain this loss? How are they gonna ignore stuff from Power Rangers this time to explain the loss? Because I just couldn't see, as much as I love the Turtles, and they've gone up against some impressive beings in their own right, I just couldn't see how Leo, or any of the Turtles for that matter, could deal enough damage to Jason once he's morphed. If somehow the fight was purely unmorphed, that would be an entirely different story. As skilled as Jason is, Leo does have 2 katana blades strapped to his back, so yeah, that would be a completely different kettle of fish. But once he morphs, his power sword ain't breaking to anything Leo's got, and the second he started using that mysticism and his teleportation, I thought, I swear to God, if they start pulling stuff out of every different iteration of Turtles, and that's how he wins, I'm gonna scream. But though they did, and it didn't make any difference. So, okay, let's see what they got to say for themselves for the reasons. Because now I'm very curious to hear what they are. Because I'll be honest, I never thought they would let Jason win, but I'm very glad they did. And that was a hats off to the animators as well, man. Because I did not expect something that hype. I mean, I know that the 2D fights can be really good, but the camera work, the music, the animation, the direct references and throwbacks to the current Power Ranger game Battle for the Grid, as well as some things I spotted from the show, and the voice work, man. That was one of the best ones they've done for a while, although, like I said, I haven't watched the last couple. I think I'll do that after this. Right, let's get back to it.
Oh, I'm sorry, do you want me to shell out some more puns?
Fine, fine. Leonardo certainly had more martial arts experience than Jason, and he was likely a bit faster, as we've seen him dodge lightning more reliably. If it were just up to those two factors, the Ninja Turtle may have won.
But you know there's more to it. Sure, Leo had some super tough defense on his side, but Jason had the oomph to crack that shell.
First of all, Leonardo's superior training was a moot point, as Jason's morph granted him a broad mastery of martial arts talent automatically.
Kinda cheap if you ask me, but that's Power Rangers for you.
But let's talk numbers.
Yep, not arguing with you there.
The benefit of the doubt,
It's nice that they actually remembered that is a thing that happens, though.
Who's fought Leo a bunch of times? Remember how Drexum survived his lab exploding? That's definitely
No,
the best
because
durability feat Leo
I've
could
never watched
possibly
Rise, so...
By scaling the lab to the height of the characters, then deducing the size of the explosion itself, its explosive yield must equal about 12 tons of TNT.
Pretty impressive, but then we used the same method on the control center exploding while Jason was inside. And
Or even the command center, but, you know.
Tons of TNT.
He said his Zord was the Dragon
45
Zord, so I wouldn't
times
expect much
greater than
accuracy.
Leonardo.
So clearly Jason was much tougher, but we still had to find their overall strength. To do that, we compared Leo's bug-crushing pillar to the Rangers bowling with boulders.
Using granite as an average potential density and scaling the pillar to Leonardo's height, it appears to weigh about 240 metric tons.
Still impressive,
Okay.
but way less than the 11,000-ton boulder. The Red Ranger couldn't just crack that shell, he could make turtle soup out of it.
Leonardo held
Yep.
some advantages in
That's
speed
why I
and
was
skill,
surprised
making
that
this fight far
the
from
Blade
one-sided.
Blaster bolt just
However, Jason's
bounced off of his
superior
shell.
strength, arsenal, and powers quickly turned the tide.
His Ranger of abilities does what Leonardo don't.
The winner is Jason, the Red Ranger.
Yeah, I actually agree with all of that.
Episode of Death Battle. If you want the battle music for yourself, you can get it by clicking the link down below.
I
And if
may
you wanna
just
watch
look
more
at the
stuff,
battle music, I'm
click
not
the
gonna
box
lie.
right over there.
So who's next? Okay. Wait, what? Okay. That's not a matchup I'd have thought of. Well, yeah. Jason won. That, surprised me. I kind of agree with it though, as I'm sure you already figured out, but, that was a really good fight, man. I agreed with all of their points at the end. And I like the fact that they lent heavily on the two comic books that obviously kind of give them a bit more to work with. Because the problem with trying to use the 90s show, and I'll be the first to admit it, is continuity is not that show's strong point, especially with how powerful they are. As one episode can require all 5 of them to fight a monster to stand any chance, and then the next episode they'll do a one-on-one, and they'll seem way more powerful than they were, you know, the previous week. So, I get that they're very hard to scale against other people. I just think, due to being such a fan of this show and having watched it multiple times throughout my life, and having siblings and cousins that all also enjoyed and watched the various iterations of the show, I think after a while you just kind of get a feel for roughly where their power lies, and obviously that's really hard to logically argue or analyze with any degree of actual certainty when you put them against other people. But then I'd say the same thing about the Turtles. Depending, as they said, on which iteration it is that you're actually trying to use, that would dramatically change the outcome of any fight. And the fact that they tried to sort of do a hodgepodge mix of different iterations of Leonardo to melt into their own version of Leonardo, at first I was kind of like, that kind of sounds like you're just trying to tip the balance of power in his scale, but obviously, actually, I think what they were trying to do was give him any semblance of a chance, because they worked out really quickly that he didn't have one. I do find it interesting, though, that in this they actually acknowledge that the Rangers get a download of information into their heads and bodies that gives them heightened martial arts knowledge, combat knowledge, tactical knowledge, greater ability than they do before they morph. And they also get like a remnant upgrade of that power when they're in their civilian form after they've had the coins for a while, in that they are slightly stronger and faster when they're using their abilities without morphing, because in certain episodes when they don't have their coins, they're suddenly not that good against the monsters or the putties that they can usually handle so long as they have their morphers on them, even if they haven't yet morphed. I am wondering if that is due to the fact that when they've done previous battles with both Voltron and Mechagodzilla, they consistently made the mistake of saying that whatever their opponent is always better trained, better tactically aware, and has greater skill, but they completely ignore the fact that it doesn't matter because the Rangers get that boost when they're morphed. So looking at them as just high school kids and saying, well, they wouldn't have a clue how to pilot a Megazord. No, they don't. But the second they morph, they don't need to. It's literally said in the very first episode of Power Rangers that the second they morph, they know how to do all of this. They know how to do all of this to the best of their abilities as if they've trained. It's like second nature to them. There's an instinct that takes over and they just know what to do. So the training that the other person or people that they're up against is irrelevant at that point. So in the case of Jason, to take this back to Leonardo, he's already a pretty good martial artist in his own right, as the show shows you, as the comic books show you, and then to add on the stuff that the coin and his transformation into the Red Ranger gives him, yeah, Leonardo is kind of left out in the cold on this one, and that's why the crossover in the comics always seems so ridiculous to me, as their Rangers are way more powerful than the Turtles from that point of view, but when they crossed over with the Justice League, they're nowhere near powerful enough to take on someone like Superman, but they're too powerful to be believed to struggle against certain opponents that they have to face in that crossover. They are very difficult to put into other universes. They really only work in their own universe. So, yeah, trying to get them to cross over with other universes, hats off to any of the writers that are brave enough to try and do that. Some have done a better job than others, but this particular episode of Death Battle, yeah, well done. I'd love to hear your thoughts down in the comments below. Please let me know what you thought of this fight. I've got a sneaking suspicion I know what the comment section on their video is going to be like, but, you know, maybe I'll be pleasantly surprised like I was with the actual fight. Either way, that's going to be it for me. I hope I'll see you around in my next video. Sorry it's been so sporadic around here. Look forward to some more death battles, to some more fan videos, hopefully very, very soon, and I'll catch you all in my next video, but this is PsychoGold, signing out.